Well, Plan A is no longer Plan A. This is my 1968 Pontiac LeMans. As you can tell, we're missing an engine, we're missing a transmission. The plan was for Pontiac Nationals, which is in the last week of July, or second to last week of July, that this car was going to be done and ready to rock and roll. Engine's out, transmission's out. It needs floors, fenders, roof, trunk, pan, rear end, brakes. It needs a lot, which is doable. It's totally doable. And we are still moving forward on this project, but I think we're starting to run out of time because we really want to get a car done and able to ready to practice with and to play with and to learn before we go to Pontiac Nationals. Bob McVay is building the motor for it, and he's an extremely busy man, and I've been unbelievably busy, as well as sidetracked with some other life issues that has kind of slowed down the process of being able to get this motor done. We're still going to focus on that Pontiac 350 build. We're still going to try to get it done, but I doubt we're going to have time to get the motor done, get everything finished, get it all in the car, get it broken in, and get testing before Pontiac Nationals shows up. And I don't want to show up with a completely untested car for Pontiac Nationals. I don't want to just spend all this time and all this money and all this effort just to show up and look like a bunch of idiots and get knocked out in the first round of bracket racing. So, Plan A, I love you, but you're going to have to wait. So that's no longer going to be Plan A. Fortunately for me, I have a car collecting problem, so I happen to have a Plan B sitting here. For those of you who have paid attention to the Lucor Automotive channel, that's where we are. We're at Lucor Automotive. You would have probably recognized this vehicle. If you have watched previous videos of me on this channel very early on, you will have also recognized this vehicle. That is my 1970 Pontiac LeMans. Now this car is a road car. This is not a race car. This is not a drag car. It is a daily drivable muscle car. 455 powered, B&M Turbo 350, posi traction, 8.2 in the rear with 336 rear gears. Currently sitting on 15-inch Riddlers and 15-inch Snowflakes in the rear. Street car, street tires, street everything. It is mostly all old school. There's not been a lot of work that's gone into this car since we put the motor in it a number of years ago. But I think it makes the most sense to get this thing prepared for doing a little bit of track duty with Bob McVay and myself for Pontiac Nationals. So, with that said, I have some upgrades I need to do to get this thing capable of what I need it to do, and I also want to put it up in the air so we can see exactly what we're working with. You guys can see it, and I can start making a plan and spending even more money. So, let me get this thing fired up. We'll get it in the shop, and we'll see what we're working with. Maybe we'll take a quick little lap around the block real fast. Excuse her, she's a wee bit dusty. As you can see, it's a pretty complete stock little unit. Still even has the air conditioning on her. Now this is a 1970 LeMans. The block is a 1972 455. It has 6X heads on it. It's about 9.5 to 1 compression. On the engine dyno, it made 415 horsepower and 520 foot-pounds of torque. We are running through the original Quadrajet that was on the car, as well as a Edelbrock Performer intake manifold. So there could be some possible upgrades. I could utilize some of the bits and pieces that I have for the 350 on this car if we so choose to do that. We might choose to do that. bench seat car. Pretty solid vehicle, honestly. It came out of Virginia a number of years ago. Column shifted, turbo 350. This is a car that I daily drive a lot. Whenever it's nice out, summertime, springtime, fall time, I daily drive this car a lot. So I don't really want to ruin it and make it too much race car, but doing some upgrades makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to try to make it too much that I'm not going to want to drive it on the street. Mostly safety upgrades and consistency upgrades, because this is going to be bracket racing for the most part that we're going to be doing at Pontiac Nationals. So we don't have to light the world on fire, we just got to be consistent. Oh, and it needs to be able to stop. Things that I know that I need to do. We need to mess with the governors on the turbo 350 because it stacks the 2-3 shift really close when you're just under kind of normal acceleration, and it doesn't hold second gear real long. So we're definitely gonna have to play with that. This is a non-tachometer car, so I'm gonna pick up an aftermarket tach to be able to run the tachometer and be able to do our governor changes and see exactly where we want to go, because we definitely are going to want to run this thing out a pretty good ways on the gears. Its peak power is at like 5,300 RPMs, so we're going to want to use all of those 5,300 RPMs to be able to make this thing make a good quality pass. Right now you can hold it and manually shift it, but I would like to be able to get that governor set up correctly so I don't have to worry about that being a problem. It is a four-wheel drum brake car, and it doesn't make a ton of engine vacuum, so the brakes are a little not great, and I know that that's going to be something that I'm going to want to do. So disc brake conversion is certainly on the to-do list. I've got some ideas in mind that would make sense for this, and I think they're in stock at Jegs. Of course they are. Why wouldn't I be going back to Jegs? It's another episode of me working on one of my muscle cars. So I think a disc brake conversion. I think the steering on this is original, or at least I've never replaced it. And the shocks and that kind of stuff, suspension-wise, are basically old. I don't know how old, but old. It will rip a really good, tasty burnout whenever you want to, because it makes piles of low-end torque. This thing made 520 foot-pounds of torque. It made more than 400 foot-pounds of torque at 2,000 RPM. So Pontiac torque is kind of what this thing does, which is great. However, you got to be able to get it on the ground, which means not doing this on street tires. She'll scoot, I'll be honest, she'll scoot. Like I said, it's 336 rear end gears, which are really great for highway driving. It'll get 14.5 miles per gallon or so on the highway, which is fantastic. As far as a 455 goes, the nice thing is with a quadrijet still, you're really just kind of sipping on those primaries, not using up a lot of fuel. So more than anything at this point in time, what I want to do with this episode is I want to see exactly where this car is, what I have in it, and what we need to do for a plan, and then start spending some more money. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it up on the alignment rack real quick. We're just going to get up underneath it and see what the true state of what I've got is. I don't think I really need to mess with the power, but I do probably need to mess with putting it to the pavement, and hooking it up, and stopping it. So let me get it back to the shop. Let's get on the alignment rack real quick. We'll see exactly what I got in my 1970 Le Mans. Yes, with a car that sounds that good, absolutely those revs are necessary. If you don't like it, you're too old. So on the front, we got a 245 Cooper Cobra, 245 6015, front drums. On the rear, we got a 275 6015, also on rear drums, on a Snowflake. We'll figure that out here in a second. Get under the front end, factory sway bar, old steering. I never did steering on this car. It does drive pretty okay, not a problem there. No leaks or anything from the gearbox. Brand new fourth fuel pump I put on this car. It is running Flowtech long tube headers. Again, I did say this is a 455 block, 6X heads. See, my DEI header wrap has had better days. Jegs high torque mini starter. Life is good. Torque converter may be a question. We may end up replacing that converter. This is a Boss Hog unit that is not exactly perfect for this application, so maybe a torque converter swap is not a bad idea. B&M Turbo 350 transmission. Looks like we got a little tiny leak there out of the rear, or maybe out of the speedo, not sure. The shocks are definitely going to be old as dirt, as you can see, and I believe they are just factory units. I have not replaced the front springs at all, so we'll see. Obviously factory stamped steel control arms. Bushings are not too terrible. Frame on this car is actually pretty dang solid. Again, this is a Southern car. This came out of the mountains of Virginia. Comes out of Mountain, Virginia. So, frame rails look good. We'll get back here to the back. Let's see, factory shocks with helper springs. Looks like that spring's actually come out of the pocket. That's good to know. And again, rear drums back here. I don't know what shocks those are. Not sure. But they've definitely had better days for sure. Factory control arms. These are non-boxed units and they do not have the provisioning for rear sway bars. That would have been a GTO thing. Or you can get upgraded rear pieces. But as you can see, it's all pretty factory old school stuff back here. Still has the Pontiac 10-bolt rear on it. We did do the posi unit upgrade and the gears about 2 years ago when I was headed out to No Name Nationals out in Sikeston, Missouri. And I am happy with these gears. Therefore, especially for a highway cruiser, it is a perfect set of gears for this motor. Whether or not that translates into perfect for the track, I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to mess with the rear gear on this car. We're going to do a much more aggressive rear gear in the back of that thing, but I don't think I want to mess with the rear gears on this. Exhaust wise, it is a Pipes Violator series, which sounds fantastic on this car. I hope that translates into what you guys can hear, but you see the Pipes Violator mufflers there. I am extremely happy with how those turned out. This is the whole Pipes kit, actually. You can see their X-pipe there, and I absolutely love it. It gives this thing such a great growl. I would not touch the exhaust on this car to save its life, other than to maybe go to a slightly bigger pipe. This is a 2.5 inch. If we could do maybe a 3 inch, that might be a good idea. But I am 100% happy with how this thing sounds. So, seeing what I see, I think what we need to do, planning wise, is we need to do steering. So idler arm, pitman arm, inner and outer tie rods, front sway bar, I guess, although we'll probably disconnect that for the drag racing. Definitely want to go do disc brake upgrades. That needs to happen, because this thing does stop, it just doesn't like to. So I need to look into what I want to do disc brakes. I don't want to go anything too huge, because I still want to be able to keep that classic look. I'm not going to be going to a big wheel, so there's only so much brake you can fit underneath a factory wheel and tire setup, or an aftermarket wheel and tire, but I'm staying with a 15-inch setup, at least on the rear. I may do a set of 17-inch snowflakes on this car, so I may put a 17-inch version of this. It's really bright. There you go. I may put a 17-inch one of those in the front, and then take these riddlers that I have here. I damaged one of them a while back, and I may go ahead and put slicks on these and run a staggered set of snowflakes on it as it's normal driving, with 15s in the rear, and put a drag slick on this. That means the least amount of spend that I can spend, because drag slicks are going to cost me some pretty serious money anyway. I think that makes the most sense. That way I can have a Pontiac wheel most of the time, and then when I go to the track I just swap into the riddlers with slick on them. So I got to figure out brakes. I think we're going to do 4-wheel disc. I think we're going to do the whole kit and caboodle. So new booster, master cylinder, all that stuff. I think I want to put a line lock in it, because burnouts. And I got to put tires on these riddlers, so I got to get a set of slicks. And the question is, do I do suspension? Do I stick with the stuff that's in here now, or do I look at some kind of an aftermarket suspension setup? That's a good chunk of money. It's also a good chunk of work. But would it be worth it? Does it make sense? I don't know the answer to that. Because I could just put new shocks underneath it. I don't have any problems with how this car handles. It drives great. So, new steering stuff, and maybe just put new shocks under it and leave it alone as is. Because again, this is a street car. This is not something I'm going to turn into a race car. It's not going to do race car things other than for Pontiac Nationals. I don't want to get too crazy on it. The crazy stuff I'll put on the other Le Mans. So, I don't know. That's where we are, guys. That's plan B. Now plan A. My 1970 Pontiac LeMans, 455 powered. I think it's got enough guts to be able to make a decent pass for what we're looking to do. We're not looking to light the world on fire. We're looking for something like a 12, which I think is certainly within reach with this car. We just got to make sure we can hook it up on the road or on the track. Being able to do big smoky burnouts is fun on the road, but that's not what you need when you're going down the track. I need this thing to hook and book. So I'm also going to get a recalibration kit for the Turbo 350 and a tachometer, so we could hook that up and we can go do some driving and figure out our recalibration stuff. So I'm going to order some parts, call Mr. Terry over at Jegs on 11th Avenue and get some parts coming. And then the next episode you're going to see, we're going to be getting to work. Probably the next episode, at least the next episode with Pontiac stuff. So I got some other stuff I want to talk about, and I believe tomorrow is going to be another one of those me sitting around talking about car stuff and drinking whiskeys. If you're interested in that kind of thing, that'll probably be tomorrow night. So that's the plans, guys. We are changing from Plan A to Plan B officially. This is now Plan A. We will continue to work forward on the Pontiac 350 HO build for the 1968 Le Mans that's back there. I'm not giving up on that. I've already spent a pile of money. I've got new pistons. I've got new rods. We've got the heads already figured out. So we're ready to rock and roll. It's just a matter of timing-wise. It's not going to work out for Pontiac Nationals, and I don't want to be unprepared. I don't want to just not end up with anything there, so I want to switch over my focus to get this thing done. So I hope you understand. I hope you're with me on that. Hope you still want to see some cool stuff. I promise I'll do my best to make it entertaining, maybe even a little bit educational, and we'll go from there. Welcome to Automotive Adventures with Austin, by the way. This is my own little personal corner of the YouTube internets. Just something I do. This is my own little personal stuff, my own personal projects, weekends and evenings and stuff that I do. That's where we're going to focus my stuff, because our main channel is so dang busy, we don't have time and space to be able to use it. So that's what we're going to do here on this channel. If you're interested in that kind of thing, click on the subscribe button, drop me a comment. I always pay attention to those. I do appreciate it. I'll see you probably tomorrow. Have a good one. Take care.